Hey everyone, before we get started today, I just want to remind you about our new home at ceteramagazine.com. That's right, we have officially launched Cetera Magazine as an independent platform. So if you're already a subscriber, don't worry, your stories are going to keep arriving every Thursday morning in your inbox and on this podcast, just like always. Now, if you're a new listener, you can actually do something new that we're offering, which is a paid subscription. You can become a paid member of Cetera Magazine, which gets you bonus stories, exclusive content, and the ability to comment directly on the stories themselves. In fact, if you become a paid member, you will instantly get one free bonus story. I shouldn't say one free bonus story, but you'll get a bonus story if that makes sense right away. So definitely check it out, see if it's something that you're interested in. We offer both monthly and yearly memberships. Very excited to have some more paid members to help support Cetera Magazine and keep this place surviving and thriving. And with that, let's get into today's story. Welcome back to Worlds Without Warning. I'm Jon Negroni, and this is where original fiction comes alive through the voices of their creators. Today, we have something that blends a little bit of magical realism with some deeply personal storytelling. Today's story is called The Archivist, and it's a piece of magical realism about absence, accountability, and the weight of all the things we don't do. It's set in Oakland, California, and the story follows Isandro, a DJ who returns home from a late-night gig to find a mysterious woman in his apartment. I won't give anything else away, but this is a story about the things that we tend to carry even though we can't see them. So birthday cards that are never sent, the calls that are never made, promises to everyone, including ourselves, that we don't keep. And it's about what happens when those absences become visible, tangible, and demanding to be sorted and understood. After I read the story, I'll talk about what I like to do when I write magical realism and how I blended it with the kind of moodier storytelling and some of the literary quality that you will hopefully recognize in the writing itself. And I also talk about the challenge of making abstract concepts like absence feel a little bit more tangible. As always, you can find the written version of this story along with many others over at ceteramagazine.com. And with that, here is The Archivist. The Archivist. To return home is to admit that the night has taken something from you, that the morning will demand an accounting. Written by Jon Negroni, edited by Natalia Emmons, read aloud by Jon Negroni. Isandro's collar contains the ghost of other people's perfume, mixing with his own sweat and the smoke machine glycerin he has to endure during every music set. His ears still ring with bass, the frequency sure to live in his chest for hours, if not days. 4 a.m, and Oakland sleeps outside his window, except for the rain, which never sleeps, only hurries against the glass like it's trying to get in. He sets his exhausted, expensive child of a bag down careful. The vinyl inside shifts, the plastic-on-plastic sound that means you carried us all night. We carried everyone else. Isandro stops, his eyes settle into the light. The geography of home has changed. There's a woman sitting at his kitchen table, and she was not there when he left. She has a clipboard, she has a DMV face, or an emergency room intake nurse face, he's not sure. He can just tell that she is professionally present, yet emotionally elsewhere. There are objects on his table that don't belong to him except they do. Mijo, his abuela would say, there are visitors and there are visitantes. Visitors and guests. This woman is neither. I'm here to catalog, she says, staring at a cassette tape labeled Dad, 2002, missed call, and a mug that says, didn't text back, Pride, 2019, and a stack of birthday cards that read, never sent, 2015 to 2023. Lady, it's 4 a.m. and you're in my house. These items belong to you. I'm simply organizing them. The rain picks up in declaration. Isandro considers the taser in his bag, also his phone, also the tennis racket by the door. But she's holding her pen like a nurse. Violence doesn't suit her. Get out. I only catalog. I never deliver. I said get out. She looks up then, and her eyes are the color of filing cabinets, a gray that reveals nothing. You can't move anything until you understand it. An absence accrues interest the longer it is excused. A hoodie appears. It materializes the way morning materializes, gradual then sudden. Damp, size medium. The shade of green Julian always wore. The shade between forest and sage. The tag reads, "Didn't show. Julian, tonight." That's not... We didn't have plans. The woman makes a note. You asked if he wanted to come hear you spin. He said maybe. You said cool, no pressure. You meant please come. He heard no pressure. The absence was born at 10:48 p.m. when you looked at the entrance for the fourth time. The hoodie isn't damp, actually. It's the light from the rain playing shadows across it. Leave, Isandro says. His voice cracks. Please, for the love of God, leave. The woman stands, places a metal filing drawer on his counter. The label reads, A. Absences, personal. I'll return tomorrow evening. We have much to sort. After she's gone, Isandro stands in his studio listening to the rain argue with itself about whether to become a storm. The hoodie, somehow damp again, drips onto his floor, making a puddle that looks like the shape of something almost said. Morning comes anyway, uninvited but inevitable. Isandro runs Lake Merritt because running is what he does to tell himself he must exist. His feet know the path, the goose shit, and eucalyptus all. The lake he likes to call an ambitious lagoon. Other runners pass him, their absences trailing behind him in taunting silhouettes. Didn't call mom back, skipped the funeral, meant to visit. He can see them now, these absences, these little subtitle-closed captions. At the Fruitvale Art Space, Monica's setting up for the workshop he's supposed to help with. She's running on Archivist coffee like any good artist. You look like shit, Sandro. Didn't sleep. Again? He doesn't answer. A teenage kid walks in carrying a bass guitar and a tote bag with words on it. Dad didn't come to the recital, said he had to work. You good? Monica asks. Yeah. Lied to Monica. Sunday morning, something in his pocket murmurs. By the time he gets home, the absences have multiplied. They spill from his studio into the hallway. A bus seat labeled, left early, cousin's graduation. A takeout bag. Canceled plans, kept the food. And blocking his door, orange and sticky like hazard cones, a crate the size of a love seat. 5 months of excuses. Parentheses, love. The orange is the exact shade of a notice the city puts on a door before they condemn the building. It means last warning. He tries to push it but can't, tries to climb over but it grows. Move nothing until you know its origin, the woman says. She's back, wearing the same clothes, carrying the same clipboard like she never left, or like leaving and arriving are the same thing to her. I can't get into my own apartment. Then you understand the problem. The crate sweats overripe fruit and latex paint, the smell of trying too hard. He knows it well. It's Ray's smell, from when he would show up in the middle of the night with apologies and plans for trips they would never take. Isandro tries to talk to the woman with a look. He doesn't have words for what he's feeling. The woman opens a red ledger. Every line on this is a debt. Every debt has interest. The math of absence works like this. 1 missed dinner becomes 2 becomes a hollow space where a relationship used to live. She pauses as if waiting for Isandro to respond. He only shrugs. 3 choices, she says next. Burn, keep, or return to sender. If I choose wrong? There is no wrong. There is what you live with and what you don't. Afternoon light invades his windows in Oakland gold. Painter's tape on his floor, 3 zones. Burn by the window. Keep by his record collection. Return by the door. The woman sits at his table, marking her ledger while he sorts. A harmonica labeled, "Didn't learn, promised myself 2018. That goes to burn. A photo album. Didn't look, mom's last year's. Keep, but turned face down. A voicemail nobody left because nobody called. Your birthday. Various. 2019 to 2025. He holds this one longest, this absence of an absence. On birthdays, he tells the woman, you're not supposed to ask for anything. And yet. He makes café con leche, the way his mother taught him before she became an absence that sits in the keep pile, too heavy to lift. The woman drinks hers black, no sugar, which figures. Next, the birthday card from his father, never sent, never intended. Then the lunch plans with his brother, canceled for good reasons, bad timing. There's a therapy appointment, skipped because healing felt too heavy that week. And there's the biggest entry in the ledger, written in his own hand. Self, years you didn't want. What's this? The years you made yourself small so others could feel big. A text comes through. It's David from the collective. Hey bro, checking in. Monica said you seemed upset about something. Need help with anything? Isandro stares at his phone, trying to read its new language. He types. Actually, yeah, can you come by? I have some stuff to move out and could use a hand. David shows up 20 minutes later with work gloves and no questions. They move objects in silence. David doesn't ask why there's a piano bench labeled, "Didn't practice, promised mom." He just helps carry it to the burn pile. Next weekend, David says when they're done. We're doing the community meal. You should come. I'm always there. I help cook. No, I mean you should come as a visitante. Let somebody else cook for you. After David leaves, Isandro's hallway is clear. He takes a breath that goes all the way down, reminds him that his lungs are just fancy bags. The city notice arrives Thursday morning, stuck to his door with adhesive that means business. Violation of Housing Code 14.23.5. Excessive personnel property creating hazardous conditions. The rain comes back too. Monica texts. Where are you? Event starts in an hour. He's promised too much again. The workshop, the community dinner, the DJ set this weekend. His calendar is a list of future absences waiting to be born. I can't, he texts back. What's going on? I need help moving some stuff. She cancels the workshop and shows up with 2 people he barely knows, including the new neighbor from 4B whom he's only nodded to in the hallway. They arrive with boxes and contractor bags. Like David, they're not full of questions. Jesus, Isandro, Monica says, surveying the landscape. How long you been a hoarder? Whole life, apparently. The woman with the ledger watches from her corner, making notes as they work. She's got a new category now. Warm absences. These glow when he makes excuses for people. They pulse when he says, it's fine, or no worries, or I understand. Warm absences, the woman explains while Monica and crew work, tend to multiply when fed with appeasement. So, what? I'm supposed to be an asshole? You're supposed to be honest. The neighbor from 4B, whose name turns out to be Kenji, finds the recliner-shaped shadow in Isandro's closet. The tag reads, The night he didn't come home. Dad, 1995. This one's not moving, Kenji says. Leave it, Isandro says. It's been there 30 years. What's another day? The woman stands, walks over to the closet. Sign here, and all of this disappears. Clean slate. Seriously? What's the catch? Erasure. It's possible at the cost of memory. Memory. His father is worth about 1,000 small absences that preceded the big one. Isandro's presence is inherited, passed down like genetics. Isandro is just another Puerto Rican man trying to escape. No, he says, I'll keep it. He takes out his phone, sends out a group text. Tomorrow night, dinner party at mine, 7 p.m. If you're coming, come. If not, that's an answer too. It's last minute, but I want you there. 2 of the warm absences in the corner immediately cool, turn to ash, and disappear. Friday night and the rooftop has been transformed. Kenji brought a steel drum for burning. Monica strung lights. David hauled up speakers. And there's no rain except for maybe in the clouds. The burning night, Isandro calls it in his head. 7 people show up out of 25 invited. The rules, the woman announces, standing by the fire drum, are simple. Read the tag aloud, then make your choice. Isandro starts small. A ticket stub. Didn't go. Jazz Festival 2019. Into the fire. A set of keys. Didn't move in together. Scared. 2017. Into the fire. The group helps. Monica reads tags when Isandro's voice breaks. Kenji tends the fire. David pours mezcal into small cups, the good stuff. Then comes the recliner-shaped shadow. It takes 4 of them to carry it up from the closet. The night he didn't come home, Isandro reads. Dad. November 8th, 1995. The shadow weighs what a 4-year-old boy weighs when he sits by the window until dawn and smells Lucky Strikes from somewhere he can't see. He said he was getting cigarettes. We waited, the shadows whisper. We turned every car sound into his car. Isandro's phone rings. Unknown number. Everyone goes quiet until it rings a 3rd time. You can answer? Monica asks. Isandro looks at the phone for one more ring. He silences the call. Help, he says, and 7 pairs of hands help him lift the shadow. It resists, then surrenders, then becomes light enough to carry. Into the fire it goes, transforming into smoke. He pulls out one more thing, a grocery store cupcake, stale, with a candle. The tag reads, Didn't celebrate yourself, 2015 to 2025. Happy birthday to me, he says, lights the candle, makes a wish, blows it out, tosses it into the fire. The rain returns, gentle now. The fire hisses, sends up steam with a crisp odor. Isandro's studio has windows open for the first time in months. On his bookshelf, where the woman's filing cabinet used to be, sits his abuela's photo and a matchbook. The matchbook says, for future absences, use wisely. He's cooking for himself instead of reheating takeout. Arroz con gandules, just like his abuela's but with his own twist. The kitchen is thick with the smell of sofrito, a perfect alchemy of cilantro and garlic that means someone is taking care. The woman sits at his table, but her clipboard is closed. I attend only by invitation now, she says. You're invited to eat. I don't eat. I catalog. Not today. She looks like she's resisting a smile. Absence is one thing, she says. But presence. She pauses, looks at the pot on the stove. Presence is tricky, too. So, you'll always have work. She stands to leave. At the door, she turns. The matchbook has 3 matches. Use them wisely. For burning? For lighting. There's a difference. After she goes, Isandro sits at his table with a bowl of rice. He texts the 7 from last night. Dinner here Friday, 7 p.m. in mine. I'm cooking family recipes. If you come, you come. If not, I want you there anyway. Monica responds first. I'll bring wine. Kenji, I'll bring dessert. David, I'm there. The last text he sends is to Julian. Friday, dinner for friends at 7, my place. If you come, you come. If not, I want you there anyway. He doesn't wait for a response. Instead, he sets the table for 8. 1 spot for each person who said yes, 1 spot for whoever needs it, and 1 spot for himself. That was The Archivist. So this story came from a few things. One of them being, I had this thought about how absence can actually be a tangible thing. And I think people usually define absence as a vague lack of something. It's the lack of something. But I like to think of it as its own kind of presence in a way. And it's a presence that can accumulate and demand attention from us. Because we all carry these invisible catalogs of things that we didn't do, regrets, right? We didn't say this, we didn't follow through on this. So I wanted to explore what would happen if those absences actually did become physical, visible things. What if they had weight to them, they had volume, and you had to sort them in a literal way? The archivist herself emerged as this figure who is neither villain nor savior in the story, but I like to think of her more as like an accountant of the heart. She doesn't judge Isandro's choices. She just makes them visible. She asks him to take responsibility for them. That felt more honest to me than a story where someone swoops in to fix everything. On that note, I think magical realism, when you're writing it, it tends to work best when the fantastical elements serve the emotional truth of the story. So the absences here, like the hoodie and the voicemails, the shadows, all that stuff, it's not weird for the sake of being weird. It's not why it's there. They are external manifestations of internal realities that most of us recognize. That is magical realism, because we've all felt the weight of a call that we didn't make to somebody, or a relationship, a friendship that we let drift away through neglect. So to get my point across, I had to stretch believability a bit while still using these common anchors like clothing and life milestones. What interested me most, though, was the community aspect of the story. It actually came about organically as I drafted it. It wasn't the plan all along. Isandro heals. He's healing, but not in isolation, because that's not this story. And it's ironic because I specifically made him a DJ, someone who's kind of working solo, typically seen as a bit of a loner, but DJs are technically surrounded by a huge community, and they can sometimes, though, not have a direct connection with the crowd beyond the sound that they're making. It's not really a conversation or an exchange in that sense. Nevertheless, community happens to him anyway. It happens the second he invites people in, and then they graciously help him carry the weight of what he's avoided. David, Monica, Kenji, they all show up without demanding explanations, and to me that felt really true to how real healing tends to work. And as an introvert, that is the part of the story that codes pure horror for me, and I'm only half joking. I also want to point out that the burning ceremony that you read, it is inspired by something real. It's a real life thing. It's called the burning bowl ceremony, or some people call it the burning bowl ritual. It doesn't necessarily have to have fire. I've never done it myself, but the idea is pretty much what you just read or listened to, where people literally burn representations of what they want to release. And I thought that was cool, and I wanted to complicate this real life thing a little bit, right? I think that not everything gets burned, especially in this kind of story. There are some absences like Isandro's father's abandonment, and they become smoke that transforms into something. It transforms into smoke rather than just disappears. It's basic physics, right? In other words, some hurts aren't truly going to vanish. They're just going to change shape. And to be clear, this story is not reflective of my personal experiences, like with my dad and family members and all that. It's pure fiction. But anyway. Lastly, I wrote this during a period of my life where and when I was thinking a lot about the difference between being alone and being lonely. There's a difference between solitude and isolation. And Isandro discovers that presence for himself. He discovers that real presence is actually a lot harder than absence, the way that isolation is a lot harder than solitude. And part of that is because presence requires vulnerability. You have to risk disappointment. You have to put yourself out there. So yes, I know this is a heady story, and it's a bit more experimental from me, or what you might expect from me if you're familiar with my other work and have been listening to these stories. But I do appreciate you making it all the way to the end of this little short story dinner party of mine. I did forget dessert, and I apologize for that. You can find the Archivist at ceteramagazine.com, where you can also subscribe for free to get new stories every Thursday. Everything we publish is edited by Natalia Emmons, who definitely helped me keep this thing a bit more balanced and avoiding some things that might have been a little bit too ridiculous and out there. So appreciate you, Natalia. Don't forget, we have a paid subscription tier for all of you new subscribers and old subscribers as well. You can check it out at ceteramagazine.com, get bonus stories when you become a paid member. It is about $2 a month, or it's a little bit cheaper if you pay yearly. But thank you, as always, for listening to Worlds Without Warning. Until next time, remember that presence is a practice, not a perfection. Keep showing up for the people in your life and keep showing up for yourself. Keep making space for connection, and remember, sometimes the most important table you can set is the one with room for uncertainty and hope in equal measure.